Founderology, Built to Breakthrough podcast. My name is Kathleen Wood, and I am the founder of Kathleen Wood Partners, an award-winning growth strategy firm, and the founder of Founderology Growth Summit, an amazing event where we bring together like-minded founders to connect, exchange, and network, all with the purposes of accelerating their businesses. Now, if you don't know me, you'll get to know me through these podcasts as I talk to innovators, game changers, and founders. And today, I'm really excited to speak to Denise Tran, the founder of Bun Mee. So Denise, welcome to Founderology.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's so great to have you here. Denise, I have to tell you, when I was doing research for Founderology, I was looking at your background, and here you go from being an attorney to now wanting to bring Vietnamese street food to the masses.
Right.
And as much as I could tell your origin story, I think our listeners would love to hear it from you.
Okay. Well, as you mentioned, I started off in law. I was a corporate attorney. And, I practiced for 5 years, and I had a moment in life where a lot of things, personal things were happening in my life, and I was at a crossroads. And I did a trip to Vietnam. I took a trip for 2 weeks to Vietnam. And I, growing up in the U.S., had not been to Vietnam. I didn't have that connection to my homeland, even though I was born there. I came when I was a baby.
Right.
So this was a great trip for me. I went there. I ate a ton of street food, traveled by myself, north to south, and had the most amazing experiences. And at the time, I was living in New York, taking a little break from law, about to study for the New York bar, and just, just trying to figure out life. I was, I'd already practiced. I was like, and I just realized, what do I want to do with the rest of my life? And coming back from that trip, I just was inspired. I was at a porchetta sandwich shop in the Village. And I went in there, and just having this artisan crafted Italian sandwich, it was a light bulb moment for me. I realized, okay, I'm leaving law. I'm not going to practice law anymore. And I'm going to go and do this for Vietnamese sandwiches, which is like so random. Everyone thought I was crazy. My mom was like, you have a law degree, you have an MBA, and you're going to go open a restaurant of all things. Anyone can do that. But what I knew inside was, it wasn't about just opening one restaurant. I really thought, oh my gosh, this is amazing. At the time, this was 2009 in New York.
Right.
And Vietnamese sandwiches was still kind of a very mom and pop experience.
Yeah.
It wasn't branded. You had to go look for it. You had to really know about it. You kind of had to be a foodie to search for it. It wasn't customer service oriented. It was still very foreign to mainstream America. And so for me, I grew up eating this sandwich. I love it. It's the Vietnamese hamburger. But I was so surprised that it wasn't everywhere. And it's such a delicious sandwich. And knowing that Americans love sandwiches, I thought this was the best kind of crossover Vietnamese food that I could present. And so that was kind of my light bulb moment.
Okay.
And so from there, I started Bun Mee.
So you're in New York, and but the first location opens up where?
Right, in San Francisco, that's how life happens, right?
Yes.
So 2009, the market is crashing in New York. My husband at the time worked in private equity.
Got it.
And had an opportunity. We left New York, came to San Francisco, and that's where I opened my first shop.
So with no background in restaurants, no background in food service, but a whole lot of background in the law, in the legal system, you open your first location.
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay, I love these. This is so great. It reminds me, we had Erin Wade on, who's with Homeroom Mac and Cheese, and she too was an attorney. She decides that she doesn't want to be an attorney anymore, but she loves mac and cheese so much that she also starts her concept and does extraordinarily well with it as well. Yeah. So a few similarities with how maybe there's something with the law, I don't know, but it's inspiring for food service.
I think we're good researchers.
That's so good.
We can analyze data, we research, and for me, I see myself as a quarterback of these are all the things I need to do. Now let me go find out how to do it, who's the best people to get involved. And
love
I'm a testament to you don't need experience to do what you do. You can hire experience, you
Yes.
can consult for experience. There's lots of ways to mitigate your lack of experience. As long as you have
Exactly.
passion, you're dedicated, you're willing to do the work,
Right.
and you are a good, you're a visionary.
Right.
And you know of your idea, and you can communicate that well to other people.
I love that.
You can make it happen.
I have this philosophy: the clearer the leader, the clearer the team. But the leader has to be clear first. So you're so spot on. So Denise, you opened up the first one, right? It's 2011 when you
Yep.
opened the 1st one. And when do you have your aha moment where it's like, this is gonna work? I know Bun Mee is gonna work. When does that happen for you?
I was so fortunate. I have a very storied journey. I knew day one.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It's crazy. I knew day one. All my projections, we doubled all our projections that first year. We had lines out the door that first day. We sold out the first day. We couldn't make our forecast. We were getting bread, running out of bread midday,
Oh my
shutting
God.
down at 2. Like, we'll be back. We got to get more bread, kind of thing. And so, so I did know pretty early on, and you know, and that kind of gut feeling from that early on, the customer response, and then it became critical response, and then we came within a year and a half. Actually, in 2013, Fast Casual named us on the 100 Fast Casual list.
We got to
number
thank our
20
friends at Fast Casual
I
for
know,
that. So
number
thank you.
28, and I was so honored.
Right.
I, you know, wasn't seeking that national attention. I didn't know a lot about it at the time, but to be recognized, our little shop, 1,000 square foot in Pacific Heights.
Wow.
Just hunkering down, focused on making really good sandwiches, innovating on that sandwich experience, creating flavor profiles that were still Southeast Asian but new.
Right.
At the time was just so nice to be recognized, and it just went from there. It's been just a storied experience, to be honest.
That is so fantastic. And so I'm just going to lean in while we're talking about recognition. You recently got some additional recognition that I think is very exciting. Do you want to share that recognition that you just got from the Bloomberg organization?
Yeah, you know, we had our Discovery Day just this past Thursday, our first Discovery Day, which was really exciting. We started our franchise program in October,
Fantastic.
months ago. And we just met with our potential franchisees on Thursday. Friday, we just heard the news from Bloomberg that we got picked as one of their top 8 best airport restaurants in the world. So, and I didn't even know about it. My architect had posted it on his site, and I saw his Instagram. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, read this article, and I read it, and he's like, and he put in caps, in the world, right? And so that's really cool.
I love that.
Just getting that recognition was just the cherry on top of like an amazing week with franchisees coming to visit us, and I just feel like, again, that was just getting that news out there, and the recognition and the hard work of what we do every day. I can't take for myself; it's my whole team.
Right.
But you know, we're 14 years out now, so to still be able to resonate and to still get that kind of news, I'm you know, again, really fortunate and grateful.
Well, that's you know, great hard work and effort and passion and purpose all connecting obviously creates that. But I will attest, as a frequent flyer through SFO, so many times I've tried to get there, and the line is so long that I've made a mental note on my next visit through. I'm putting more time so I can stand in the line to experience Bun Mee at the airport, because those lines in the terminals are just amazing, and it just speaks to so much of what you're doing.
Yeah, thank
so,
you.
So I was curious, over these last 14 years, what do you think has been, like, you knew day one it was going to work, but over the last 14 years, have you had another moment where you're like, it was like your biggest breakthrough moment, because now you're like, oh, now we're going to grow?
Mm-hmm.
Did you experience one of those moments too?
Yes. So one of our, you know, we had several milestones. another milestone in that journey was when we decided to grow into non-traditional locations.
Yeah.
So in 2017, we opened our first location at SFO Terminal 3.
Yep.
And just learning how to operate in an airport and just being able to get into an airport. I wanted to get into an airport for several reasons. One being that obviously the sales potential there is
amazing.
3 to 4 times, street store, and
Yep.
and having that experience was part of our growth strategy, is to learn how to grow in non-traditional locations.
Right.
But also it happened to be the gateway to San Francisco, and San Francisco being such a foodie city.
Yeah.
We wanted to get our brand out there in front of millions and millions of people, and so it was, 2-3-fold the reasons why we wanted to get into SFO. And that took our company, the moment we got into SFO, that just brought in a lot more recognition of our street stores. And then, of course, 2 years later, we won another location at SFO Terminal 1, the New Harvey Milk Terminal.
Right.
And again, just the millions and millions of people that come through. We get asked constantly, are you in other airports? Are you in other cities? We want a franchise. And so it acted as also a marketing tool.
Absolutely.
To introduce our food to so many people that travel.
Yes.
So they're not necessarily just local residents of San Francisco anymore. They're travelers, they're tourists. They come into the city and they experience Bun Mee. So we're able to spread that Bun Mee love to folks that are not just local.
Yes.
So it was a great move for us in so many ways.
Absolutely. At one point in my career, I led the non-traditional development for TGI Fridays in airport stadiums and arenas before branded concepts were really popular. And I think one of the things we experienced then was, how do you balance the idea of how you're running operations in an airport versus how you run it on the street? So what have you found we found in the early days that was quite the balance, because the airport, to your point, millions of people, nonstop, constant long lines, and then there's the street side of it too. So how have you found, as you're trying to now grow street size, franchise, and non-traditional, how do you manage all of those kind of multiple verticals that you're operating in these days?
There's a lot going on. And the growing curve, learning curve was a challenge. We just, learn as we go. I think we've been very methodical about the growth. So, so for us, we've anytime that we're doing something entirely different, we're just focused on that. And so all our resources and infrastructure, manpower is focused on learning how to do the rest, the airport. So for example, we stopped growing street side stores for several years because we wanted to really focus on airport growth and understanding that. So for a small business like mine, you just prioritize. Just like anything in life, you prioritize and you just focus on that. And so for us, once we felt like we had, we did it well and we were experts at it. Then now we focus on something else. So for us, with limited resources, just managing focus, being focused on that very thing that you're doing, has allowed us to be able to be successful at various different channels. Given the resources that we had at the time.
I love that because I think that's one of the secrets to being successful, right? It's not scattering your place into a million different directions and spreading the team so thin. It's about conquering this space, going on, conquering the next space, so that you're building as you go, not scattering as you grow. And I think it's so powerful.
We've had over the years so many opportunities and requests to grow fast, from private equity, from various notable brands that want us to franchise or help us franchise. And to your point, I've always my growth has always been intentional. I want to build a brand that lasts.
Right.
I didn't leave law to, to just build a fly by night, business. I wanted to really invest in our growth. I take responsibility for being an advocate and ambassador for my food, for our Vietnamese food. That means a lot to me.
Right.
It's my culture, and so for me, I want to be the Shake Shack of Vietnamese sandwiches.
I love that.
And I want to do that,
that.
for the U.S. And so for me, it comes from that place of like, I'm going to invest in doing it right. I know that if I do it right and I invest in it, then the money will come.
Right.
And so it's not about the fast buck for me. It's about doing it right, being thoughtful, and growing in a very intentional, strategic way along the way.
I love that equation. I love that. I think it's an equation for success. I work with a lot of founder-led businesses, and sometimes the hardest part is saying no to the opportunity because you're not ready, versus saying, but as opposed to being ready, and then look, you end up being named one of the top airport restaurants in the world. I mean, that's a very big difference than running into something and being prepared to run towards success. So that speaks volumes.
It is hard to do as an entrepreneur.
Totally hard.
There's a lot of shiny disco balls, and there's, it's hard to say no sometimes because it all sounds really promising.
I wrote a book called Founderology, and one whole chapter was dedicated to shiny balls because there's just so many of them, right? It's like, woo!
And you find opportunity in so many places.
Well, especially when you're a founder, because we could do anything at that point.
Right.
So, when we think about founders and, and obviously your success too, what do you think is one of the overlooked but important traits that a founder should have to be successful?
Good. Well, an overlooked, for me anyway, I can only speak for myself, is intuition.
Oh, that's a good one. Oh, that's a good one.
For me, the value of intuition, it's not something you can quantify, and it is a gut feel.
Yeah.
And I found that I can tap into that and trust it. Some of my best decisions come from really being able to trust that intuition, that, which is, not a lot of people want to say that because it's kind of like,
it's so powerful.
What is
though.
intuition? How do you explain that? But it's about like reading between the lines. It's about data collecting. It's not about ignoring the data or not going by it, but it's collecting all that. But at the end of the day, that intuition, once you collect it, you trust it.
Right.
And you follow it. And I feel, for me anyway, it's worked for me.
No, I think that's the beauty of the art and the science, right? Data should be a data point, but it shouldn't be the only point, right? Because no one knows a business or a brand more than a founder does. And I think it's hard, though, for founders to trust their intuition when the whole world's telling them that that's crazy. It's never going to work. Why would you want to be the Vietnamese sandwich, the Shake Shack, because they're like, no one's ever done it. But that's why you're a founder, because if somebody had done it, you wouldn't be doing it either, you know?
And I think it comes with what you said earlier, is having that clear vision in your mind, in your head, because that clear vision is where the intuition is linked to, that maybe other people aren't seeing it yet. Right. Your vision, you have that clear vision, and so the intuition you lead with that.
Exactly, yeah. And trust it, which I think is so important. Yeah. From your perspective, what do you think intuition has been part of what's played for you, Denise? But what about mindset? I think mindset has a lot to play with founder success. From your perspective, what's been your mindset as you have continued to take Bun Mee into new areas of growth and development?
So my mindset is always, the way I approach any problem is, because anything I do, it's always something new for me. Right. And so my mindset has always been, this is a hard problem, but I can tackle it. I just have to break it down into parts and figure that out. And so the mindset is, working hard, showing some grit, pushing through. I don't take no for an answer, you know.
I
And
love
so
it.
I'm just, it's being fearless a mindset, but it is
Right.
really just if you if things are aligned with your vision, your intention, your purpose, having that fearless mindset to go after it, cut the noise out.
Right.
That's been my number one guiding light for
Yeah.
me, and my North Star is to tackle all of those challenges with that in mind, because there's a lot of naysayers out
Oh
there.
my gosh, so many, so many. I mean, there's a
So-
collection of them every day saying something, right?
Mhm.
But I love the idea of a fearless mindset because it also speaks to being confident and being connecting passion and purpose to your vision. And I love not taking no for an answer too. I mean, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And when you think about how many dreams are dashed because somebody took a no on the first time, but when you think about how many futures are created by insisting that there's no, it's a beautiful relationship.
Because for me, I'm like, you're not seeing my vision yet. You will.
Right. I'll get you there, darn it all.
I'll get you there.
I like that. Denise, I can't believe this, but we're almost out of time. It just goes so fast when we're having, these great conversations. So we always end with what we call our Fast Five. So I have 5 quick questions for you.
Okay.
All right. Question number 1 is, if someone was going to Bun Mee and they had the opportunity to be there at a moment where they could get in at SFO or even at a street, what would be the number 1 menu item you would suggest that they must try?
Okay. So this is a hard one because they're all my babies. I love them all.
Good.
But I would say, okay, so our best seller is our 5-spice chicken sandwich. But my personal favorite is the steak sandwich that's a dip. It's delicious. It's pho inspired, the Vietnamese soup, pho inspired, and it's a really creative, delicious sandwich. And I love it because you can dip in it, and it's kind of like warm and comfort food too. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right, Denise, you did pick the one I was going to try, though. 5-spice. I'm like a 5-spice fanatic, so I'll send you a picture when I have that. Fingers crossed I will get that. Second, if you could describe one word that would sum up your founder's journey today, what would that one word be?
Wild.
Ooh, I love that. I love that.
It's been a wild ride.
Yes.
It's been fun.
That's good. I like that. You know, you've given a lot of great insights for all of our listeners and for the founders that are going to get the opportunity to hear this as well. And I'm confident people are taking notes because you gave us so many great things today. But what would be one more piece of advice you'd share with our listeners?
You know, for me anyway, one of the things that I had mentioned earlier is experience. Don't let the lack of experience keep you from doing something or going into a field or an area or do something that you absolutely love and have a passion for. I think that traditionally, people are always asked, do you have experience in doing this or that? And it can feel like a barrier to doing something. But for me, I feel like if you have the passion for it, you're willing to work hard, you can get experience, you can hire experience, you can buy experience, but don't let experience, the lack of it, keep you from doing something that you love.
Oh, I totally agree with you. That's exactly why I started my business, was to bring experience that others didn't have so that they could fulfill their dreams. So I love that. What would be one book that you would suggest to a founder that they should definitely take a look at or listen to?
I love the E-Myth Revisited.
I love that book, Denise. I just put that on one of my top 10 books to read.
Yeah, I love that book. I highlight every page. It's so smart about how to think about scaling a business, creating a business that scales.
Yep.
Learning to work on your business, not in the business, I
Yep.
guess. Love that book. It's very simple. I love that. And I also love the Starbucks book, Pour Your Heart Into It.
Yeah, I think it's like Pour Your Heart. Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, that's a great one.
But the Schultz book, just about how Starbucks built their company, all about customer service, culture. from every aspect of Starbucks in the beginning stages is so impactful and powerful. I love those 2 books.
I do too. I do too. So Denise, how can people connect with you and learn more about Bun Mee?
Yeah, so they can connect on Instagram at website www.bunmee, bunme.co, and our Instagram handle is Bun Mee.
Oh, so keep it easy. That's great. I love that. Denise, thank you so much for being here today. What you've shared, your insights, your journey. I just wish you and your team continued success as you bring Bun Mee to the world. So thank you for being here today.
Yeah.
And thank you to all of our listeners for joining us today. And please remember to subscribe so you know when the next episode of Founderology Built to Last is going to drop. Until then, keep pushing boundaries and keep breaking through. Have a terrific day.